Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I'm not a real therapist, but I play one on the internet just for this show. And as with every session of film therapy, I always have a guest patient. And that guest patient today is the advocate, Mr. Jay Washington. This is where the applause goes.
Oh, this is where the applause goes. Hello.
Yay! Hello.
Hello, people. My name is Jay Washington, and I am the advocate for Miss We'll do all that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that
We'll get
later.
into that later.
But thank you for coming all this way. I
Thank
know
you for having me.
it's not close.
It's not, but luckily traffic in LA was not as bad as I expected it to be. So
Uh-huh.
I am I got here like maybe 10 minutes early. So
You did good.
I was like, I wouldn't stop and got some monsters, some energy. So I'm like, let's do this.
Let's
Good.
do this indeed. Here is how this show works if you have never watched this
Okay.
show. It is a storytelling show where I ask the movie patient the same three questions each time. What is a film that inspires you? What is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy.
Mhm.
And what is a film that helps you through difficult times? So I started this show because I suffer from depression, and I find that movies kind of help me escape from that depression and help me cope. And so,
This
if
is cool
you're
because
suffering,
I literally have been, I'll be honest, a lot of people
Mhm.
only people who know me and people who've recently started following me on Facebook found out that I've been suffering from depression since September.
okay,
And so for people like, wait, you do? I couldn't imagine that because you're always busy, you're always
hmm
joking, you're doing this. I was like, yeah, I had to drown myself in my work. So
right.
yeah, so
It,
movies do help a lot. They do help a
they
lot.
help escape because it's like, oh, I don't have to think about my life for
Yes.
like 2 hours. I can just think about someone else's life and
Life,
be like
yes.
in what they're doing. I've
Absolutely.
just watched last night The Apartment, although I'm not finished with it yet. This is an old movie with
Okay.
Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, and yeah, basically he owns this apartment, which in order to rise up in the ranks at the office, he lets people use for their trysts, so that way he can
For
become a
their
boss.
tryst. For
Yeah.
their tryst is the best word to ever hear. For their tryst.
Uh-huh.
I think I just
It's
start,
interesting.
I've been trying to catch up on a lot of the newer movies because a lot of them don't. Older movies are like a lot of older movies within like maybe the 70s, 80s. I watched a lot. Not all of them, of course. But like some of the newer movies, I'm like, all right, do I have to watch this? Because
Mhm.
so today, earlier this morning, I was watching Central Intelligence with The Rock and
Oh, I
Kevin
need to
Hart.
see that.
And I didn't expect to watch because I thought Kevin Hart would be over the top.
Hmm.
But I laughed so much with this movie. I was like, why am I laughing this much? And
I
so
gotta see it.
I was watching. It's a good movie. Certain movies like that. A lot of Tom Hanks movies get me going.
Mm.
I like watching his films. Big has always been my thing. I saw Joe versus the Volcano on TV like maybe 5 months ago, and I
Mhm.
lost my mind. I was like, "What the hell is Meg Ryan doing? What is Meg Ryan doing?" Because she played three different characters in that movie.
Mhm.
So, I got a chance to watch those and catch up with movies. Home Alone movies always did it for me because I'm a Christmas fan. I'm a
Mhm.
big kid when it comes to the holidays. Uh, it's a Wonderful Life does it for me.
Right.
I feel like it should be snowing whenever I watch It's a Wonderful Life, and unfortunately, because living in California now, I won't. So I'll have to like just turn on something that sounds like thunder snow on my phone to make the sound
Mhm.
effects. I'm like, oh, it's holidays, and just feel good like
I
that.
love the
So
holidays too.
I,
They're just good times in general.
it is something about the lights for me. I'm like a
Mm,
big kid.
the
I'm like,
twinkling lights. You could just go down the street. We have neighbors that never take them down, which
oh,
is
you
great.
have one of those?
Yeah, they don't turn them on. And even when it is Christmas, they don't turn them on. And I'm like, could you just like put this away?
I
It's not really that hard
hate
because
people who do that.
because in my neighborhood, like the way that our houses are, they're very tall.
Right.
So we just like go around our garage and our front door,
That
like
makes sense.
because they're just so tall that it would be dangerous to try to do the rest of the
You'd
house.
almost die trying to decorate for the holidays.
So they just have it around their garage, and I'm like, it's
Someone just
really
asked the
not
greatest question.
hard.
Did you watch a Gremlins movie? I love Gremlins, and I'm gonna tell a secret.
Thanks, Star Drew, for asking that
I'm
question.
gonna tell a secret
Okay, tell
on
us.
on film therapy that very, very, very few people know.
Uh-huh.
My dad, God rest his soul, passed in '85. Gremlins came out in '84.
Okay.
I have a birthmark here, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
My dad nicknamed me Gizmo from Gremlins. So
Aw.
Gizmo's been a nickname of mine. So I love Gremlins. I love Gremlins 2.
Mhm.
I was still hoping for Gremlins 3, but
So you were a baby when he passed then?
yeah, I was 4 going on 5. I
Mhm.
remember the phone call. I talked to him before he passed.
Mm.
He called me from work. He was on his way to see me. Him and my mom, who was pregnant with my younger brother at the time, she was 9 months pregnant. He was on his way to see me, come see all of us.
Mhm.
He had a heart attack on the train platform.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I remember that vividly. So people always ask me like, how did growing up without your dad
Mhm.
feel? I was like, it's kind of hard because the only person that took his place was my grandfather.
Okay.
And so my dad, my grandfather, and my brother all have the same name. So it's always
Mm.
been a reminder, you know. But yeah, every time I watch Gremlins, I think about my
Oh,
dad.
well then that's a happy memory, I would
Yeah, I always
think.
think about my dad. So
And your gizmo.
yeah, I'm the
I
big
like
cuddly
that.
thing. Everybody like they're like, can we get you wet? And, I guess feed me out the wet night. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
Just
and what's the third rule?
don't get him in bright lights, especially
Bright
sunlight. It'll
lights.
kill him. I'm out in the
Mhm.
sunshine right now. I'm not a vampire, so I'm good.
We're in LA, so
It's always sunshine, and which is scary.
just another day of sun.
That's somebody who's depressed when you do that. Like it's another.
Another day of
I don't think nobody understands.
sun.
They're like, oh, it's weather's beautiful every day. You should just love it. If every day is a sunny day, then what's a sunny day?
Nothing special.
Nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
Mm-hmm.
special.
But we're special. That's why we're here
Yes.
talking with you guys. Let's
Yeah.
get into our first question. Actually, you know what? Before we get into that first question, I do want to go back just a little bit. You said you've been depressed since September.
Hmm.
Is there like a catalyst for that? Or in depression, sometimes it just happens.
No, I have a legit. I
If
was
you want to share, you
no, I
can.
can. I have no problem with it. It actually helps me sharing it.
Okay.
I lost my relationship for 8 years with my daughter's mother,
Mm, okay.
and in the process, her and our daughter they moved to Tacoma, Washington, while I moved here to
Oh,
try to make
wow.
things happen.
Okay.
And the goal was to get everything situated here to bring them down. And so in the process of the distance, we separated. So that's
Mm-hmm.
been very hard for me.
Yep.
And it's like when I talk to my daughter every day, she looks just like her mom. So I'm like, Daddy,
Aw.
yes, I cry a lot. So, but that really was the biggest catalyst. A lot of my friends have been like, yo, you got to try to move past it. But then my other friends have been like, yo, you've given almost a decade of your life saying you want to spend the rest of your life with this person. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the biggest catalyst, that and being here without any family, really.
Right.
I'm in LA with a bunch of friends. I got a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
friends I have, people I've known from Chicago, I've known throughout traveling the road doing stand up and whatnot. And family wise, it's not really here. So that's harder.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a key to the depression thing. But again, film has helped me. Stand ups helped me a lot. Working out when I get back in the gym. I haven't been in the past week, which I hate because I was in Chicago. Which I tell
Yeah.
everybody, I
It's
love
hard.
my hometown, but I can't go home a lot because they want to feed you and get you drinking on everything. I got to
Mm.
stop that. But not doing that. But when I get back in the gym, I'll be back to where I was in about a week. So,
The gym is another place that helps me.
oh my God, me putting up 400 pounds on a bench press is beautiful.
I got like 25.
Well, I
Maybe.
started.
Wait, yeah. Total?
Well, that's because I used to be.
No, I got like 40.
I used
I
to be a
got
pro
40.
wrestler, so I still work out like I
Mhm.
wrestle.
Okay.
And so I still power lift every now and then. I'll do the 120-pound dumbbells, dumbbell pressing them. I'll do my cardio, 35 minutes on the hard trainer, 20 minutes on the treadmill, and I'll do all my core exercises and everything.
Mhm.
And then in that time, I'm clearing my mind.
Yeah.
I just can zone out. I can forget about anything that's worrying me, stressing me out, or anything. And again, getting to work and doing a lot of projects and stuff I've been doing, they help to block out things for that moment. But
Right.
again, it's still there when my mind, like people
Mhm.
say, well, you got to clear your mind, let your brain rest. I'd be like, that's easier
You're
said
like,
than done.
thanks for that great advice.
That clear your mind, to
Mhm.
free your mind. It's like you don't understand when you try to shut down and now everything is running through your brain.
Mhm.
It's difficult sometimes.
It is,
So
which is why we're here.
yes,
So, let's go to that first question, which is what is a film that inspires you?
I said it earlier. I'm a Tom
Okay.
Hanks fan.
Mhm.
Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Forrest Gump is actually a movie that inspires me because I watch it, and the story of Forrest. If you watch it, it's unintentionally comedic. There's a lot of parts in Forrest Gump that are unintentionally comedic, but you watch how a man who was told he would never be anything from the
Mhm.
moment he was a child perseveres and technically becomes one of the greatest
Human beings
Americans in
ever.
history. You
Yes.
watch that throughout his life. We watch, him become a collegiate athlete, go all American, a
Hmm.
war hero, a successful CEO, meeting the president, getting
Yep.
back with the love of his life who has AIDS, but that's a whole nother story. But you watch Forrest persevere, and I always think about that because a lot of times when I grew up, I got burned when I was 2 here
Hmm.
and here. I pulled a pot of boiling water off the stove onto my head.
Oh dear.
So I was I was a little no. I just wanted to know what things were,
Sure.
and so being that it had me being ridiculed a lot and talked about, and then people like, well, you'll never mount anything. When I first started wrestling,
Hmm.
I would never get the opportunities, no matter how hard I trained, no matter how hard I worked. And so when I watch Forrest, it's like you see someone, regardless if it's a film and the comedic aspects you see, he perseveres through everything despite his
Right.
disability.
Hmm.
Forrest had braces on his legs, and we found out he could run like the wind. He was, if we actually break it down, he's on the spectrum of autism,
Sure.
but he's smarter than the average person.
Hmm.
And to watch a man like that persevere throughout everything is rather inspiring to me.
Absolutely. It's
So,
inspiring to me too. While you were talking, I was thinking about we have these books that my daughter likes to read.
mhm,
She's 6, or I read them to her,
mhm.
and they're biographies. And we had the first one we started with was Jane Goodall, but one that we recently read was Helen Keller. And reading Helen
Really?
Keller's story is the most amazing thing that I've
Yes.
ever experienced, because if someone like Helen Keller can do what she did and make an impact on the world
On
as
the
she did,
world.
I think that anything is possible. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not just her, it's Anne Sullivan as well, because Anne Sullivan, as her teacher,
Mhm.
like really was able to like bring the person out of the shell that she was
To be
trapped in.
dedicated and diligent to do that too. To
Hmm.
be dedicated enough to stick by that person.
Right.
You got to commend Ann Sullivan on that as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I need to watch the movie The Miracle Worker because I know both of them won Oscars for that.
Why? I gotta watch it. I definitely will be
And
watching it.
I've seen like a few clips and I'm like, whoa, this is going to be hard to watch.
You find movies like that. You
Hmm.
you try to watch and you see previews of them and you're like, oh, this shouldn't be. Oh, this is gonna be that.
Hmm.
And I got movies like that still that's on my list that are like when I still watch it to this day as a father, as a man, and different things. They are hard to
Hmm.
watch.
They
They are
are.
very hard to watch. You're like, okay, I got to push through this, and they become hard to watch because you might not be going through their exact situation,
Hmm.
but you put yourself in that situation. Like,
Right.
what would it be like if that was you, or is that you, or you can relate to it on different levels?
Hmm.
So I've completely understood that.
Absolutely. And with them, like, with Anne Sullivan teaching her, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. She like gets physically like
Mm-hmm.
hurt. They both do because they're trying to like learn and understand the
Sandy Joint.
world.
Yeah.
So again, I haven't seen The Miracle Worker. I will watch it, but reading that biography was incredible.
Wow.
So it reminds me of Forrest Gump,
Mm-hmm.
bringing it back to Forrest Gump, because that people say, oh, he's
Yes.
not going to amount to anything. And like with her, if her parents had given up on her, she would have ended up in some mental hospital and
Yeah. Just
probably just would have
shacked
stayed
thrown
there.
away, and we'd have
Yeah,
never known of her story.
right.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have some people that are like, I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. I'm not going to. My kid is going to do well. So.
My daughter has a sensory processing disorder,
Hmm.
and and it affects her communication and her speech. So she has a condition called echohelia, where she'll you say something, she'll repeat it like a parrot almost.
Okay.
But she's trying to communicate, and she gets frustrated because she wants to say certain things and it won't come out.
Hmm.
And so her mother and I, we both say, listen, just calm down, use your words, break it down, let us know what you want to say, and then she'll start to do it. And so
Hmm.
dealing with that has helped me to learn a lot more about myself too, as far as patience and resilience and how I can help someone else.
That's interesting. Does that is that kind of like your brain is working faster than your
Yes,
mouth?
that's exactly what
Because
my
I feel like sometimes I suffer from that, but not like every day.
I do a lot. I will honestly admit my
Hmm.
daughter is definitely like that. My daughter is 3. She looks like she's 6. and she's so smart, it's ridiculous. Her brain is
Hmm.
like, we got to do this, we can do this. I always compared her mother hated this comparison, and she still hates it to this day. I compare my daughter, and it's funny, but it's not funny. I compare my daughter to the Raptors in the first Jurassic Park,
Okay.
because remember, she was like, well, what happens if they learn to open doors? The
Hmm.
moment she said it, you saw a raptor open a
Right.
door. My daughter is that person where if you show her one time,
She's got it.
she's got it. So her brain is like
That's
boom,
good.
boom, 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 boom,
Hmm.
boom. So
I love it.
yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Forrest Gump before we go on?
No, no, I think I got everything out about that
All right,
one.
good. I love that there are now restaurants that are, Bubba Shrimp.
Bubblegum
Yeah,
shrimp.
Bubba Gump Shrimp.
You
I
know
love
what?
that.
And I've yet to go to one.
I haven't gone to one
I've yet
either.
to go to a bubblegum shrimp, and there's several of them in Chicago. There was one in
Hmm.
Chicago in Navy Pier. I never went to it, but I was like, I gotta go. I just want to know if it's this
Yeah.
dude. Like, if you work at a bubblegum shrimp, do you hire a black dude with a big bottom lip?
Mm.
And it's like, if you do you say it's racist or is it just theme? Because
It's theme.
it's big Coletti Williams had that bottom lip, like,
Because they also, when they first started, would have someone dressed as Forrest sit
see,
outside,
see what I'm
like on
saying?
the bench. They like they
So
would do
do
that.
you have him laying on the ground with what looks like his guts on the ground? Thomas of Forrest, I want to go home.
Oh man. All right, let's get into our second question. What is a film or scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy. We'll see where it
Yeah,
goes.
this is gonna go deep. Malcolm X.
Okay.
The particular scene is, I believe it's right after he's assassinated, or right before, and Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come" is playing.
Ooh, Sam Cooke is incredible
That
as
scene
an
hit.
artist.
Yes, that scene hits me for several reasons. To watch the stab in the back first and foremost, but more specifically, my mother's favorite song, God rest her soul, was "The Change Is Gonna Come." And I went on a field trip with my school to see Malcolm X in theaters. She took me as well, and when
Hmm.
that song played in the theater, I remember her crying. And anytime I watch it, I try to turn away from it, and I'm grown. I'm 36, and I try to be like, I can't,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm stuck, and it reminds me of my mom. Um, my mother was a single mother who raised my younger brother and myself, and she always was, she was stern, she was overprotective, she was bearing, but I realized because of where I grew up on the south side of Chicago, it was all to keep us safe and protected, and
Mm-hmm.
not shelter us off from the world, but to be like,
Right.
look, this is a lot of things bad can happen. I need you to understand that. And so every time I hear that song, I'm, reminiscent to my mom's passing, the phone call I got when she passed, the being at the funeral home to set up the funeral,
Mm-hmm.
to setting the funeral up. I remember conversations that her and I would have, and that song. I mean, it's just that. And then again, us being in the theater and watching my mom cry while that song's playing,
Mm-hmm.
and not knowing at that time why. I'm just thinking it's the sadness of the movie, what's
Right.
going on, and I didn't know that that film would have such an effect on her. I mean, and the song, and then I didn't know coming on later in my years that it would actually affect me a lot. I'm holding back tears. I just want y'all to know this, okay? I'm
You
being
don't have to.
don't, don't,
You can let it go.
and that song always, because I've been out, that movie in particular, but I've been out with friends and we'll be in the car and that song will come on,
Mm-hmm.
and I can be in the middle of a conversation and I'll just stop, and they'll be like, "What's going on?" I'll be like, "I just need a minute."
Mm-hmm.
And like if I'm with one of my friends who's been friends for almost 20, 30 years, they'll understand what it is.
Right.
And I actually got a chance to tell Spike that, when I got a chance to work with him on Chirac, I told him, I was like, look, this is something, I've been a fan of yours for years. Fan aside, you do something for me. You did something for me in one of your movies that still affects me to this day. And so him and I talked, and he was like, wow. I never knew it would have hit anybody that way. He thought just the story of Malcolm
Right. It's
would
gonna be effective.
be
No.
effective enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, the score, and with that one song behind it, it takes away nothing from the movie,
Mm-hmm.
because through 6 degrees of separation, I've worked with half of them, but it takes nothing away from it. But him and I talked, and I think to this day, on top of what we did in the project, is how him and I have a friendship, because he understood.
Right.
He said that there's movies that have had that effect on him before. So I was, That movie always does, and that song in particular, I cannot hear it without being like, I could be in the middle of having, like I said, the happiest of conversations, and my brain will catch it.
Mm-hmm.
My brain, like we can be talking and everything else. You know, when you're talking to somebody and you're engaged in the conversation, the world around you is non-existent.
Right.
But that song can be on, and my brain picks it up,
Yes.
and then it just focuses on that, and it's a real big thing.
Now, when did your mom pass?
2007.
Okay. So 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Yeah. 10 years ago. I got the tattoo on my arm to commemorate. I never thought I'd be getting one of these tattoos. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got before this, I had 8. And I was like, I'll never get a tattoo to get a tattoo like that. And my mom passed. I was like, I'm gonna do this
Mm-hmm.
for her. And her passing was the hardest thing for me too, because my birthday's August 25th. Her birthday was August 26th. She passed September 5th, a week after our birthdays. She passed a week after her 50th birthday. She was
Mm.
super young. And her and I had just reestablished a strained relationship we had for a while. It was
Mm-hmm.
real strained. We really didn't talk. She was mad. It was, I didn't like the way she was doing certain things with her life. I wanted her to be better. But of course,
Mm.
she's grown. She's my mother.
Right.
I can't tell her what to do. And what she was doing, I wouldn't let my son, who was 3 going on 4, be around that.
Mm.
And then she changed a few things up, and then we started to reevaluate our relationship. Um, we were reevaluating our relationship, and we were just talking, we are getting to know each other. And I remember seeing her, and my mother was always a heavy set woman. But when I saw her, her chest was still big and the rest of her body was small.
Huh.
And I would joke with my mom, and I said, "What's wrong with you?" It was me, my brother, and my mother. I was like, "What's wrong with you, lady? You dying or something?" And my brother was like, "Why would you say that?" I'm like, "Man, look how small she got." And I'm just joking with, we just all joking.
Right.
A couple weeks later, she passed, and we are still under the impression my mom may have had lung cancer and didn't want to tell us.
Wow.
Mhm. To this day.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, to this day, like
They didn't do an
no,
autopsy.
they did. She died of heart failure.
Okay.
She died of heart failure, but we believe the weight loss was a cancer that she didn't want to tell her children because she didn't want us
Mm.
to be worried. Which,
There are a lot of people that actually like keep
yeah,
cancer a secret from their families, and
yes.
that's sad.
I think it's sad. I mean, at first I wanted to be like, that's selfish.
But they're thinking of you, and they
They
don't want you to
constantly be
suffer
stressed.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's that double-edged
Yeah,
sword.
it definitely is. Like as a parent, I have a 13-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And I have to now be a little bit more honest with my son
Hmm.
with certain things than I had to be before, because he was younger. He couldn't fully
Right.
understand and comprehend. Now his mind is open to the world.
Right.
And so I have to talk to him a certain way where I have to be realistic on things.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I never had to be this honest with my son. And I wish my mother, my mother would have been that honest. But then I
Hmm.
understand why she's not, why she wasn't, shall I say. It was hard. It's still hard to this day. She never, to me, it's always, I hear that song and I think, oh, she never saw her grandson grow up to where he is. She never
Hmm.
saw her first granddaughter, because my daughter's name is Jalea Ann Washington. We named her Jalea because my daughter's mother's name is Jolia. So we named her Jalea. Ann is my mother's middle name. So we gave her both.
Hmm.
And it just was, it's been hard. It's hard whenever I hear that song again, because you'd be surprised how often people think, oh, well, you're not going to hear Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come that often.
Oh, you
You
will.
will be surprised
Hmm.
how often that you will hear that song so much, just out the blue.
Does it matter what version?
No,
Okay.
because I know what it is.
Right. You
My
hear
brain just
those
registers.
keys.
I've heard like remix versions, updated versions, and my brain still plays it as the
Hmm.
original Sam Cooke A Change Is Gonna Come. And I've had family members who call my aunt on my dad's side will call me sometimes to check in on me. And randomly out the conversation, she'll be, I heard Sam Cooke. And I'll be like, can we go past the subject right now?
Hmm.
And she'll be like, why? I was like, I don't feel like crying right now. She's like, why would you cry? I was like, it's a long story. And it happens.
It does happen. There's definitely triggers of our memory that will one thing can just take us right back to
Yes,
exactly when something happened for us, something important,
absolutely.
which can also bring on good memories
Oh,
too.
of
So
course.
that's
I mean,
always
of
nice.
course.
But and then you remember other memories, and it keeps piling on, and you're like, oh,
Because then you become a ball of emotion.
yes.
You're not just sad. You're not just sad. You're happy. But again, that ball of
Mhm.
emotion, your body and your mind is like, I don't know what to do right now. So I've
Right.
been that way a while.
Well, let's get on to our third question,
Okay.
which is, what is a film that helps you through difficult times?
Liar, liar.
Okay.
I'm a dad, and I tell like if you haven't realized by now, I'm a father. The hardest part was after my divorce from my first wife. I'm not married again, just my first wife, my son's mother, and she moved to Indianapolis when I was still in Chicago. For those who don't know, it's only a 3-hour drive,
Mhm.
not that far. But at the time, I didn't have a car. She wasn't coming up here, so it was hard to see my son. I would talk to him and
Mhm.
try to tell him, "Well, Dad's gonna try to come down. Dad wants
How
to come."
old was he? Sorry.
No problem. He was 5,
Okay.
5, 6, yeah. Because it was right after my mother passing. He 5 or 6s, and I would tell my son a lot of times, I was gonna come see you, and I couldn't.
Mhm.
Things would happen that were literally beyond my control, and I always would feel like Fletcher Reed telling Max he was gonna come and do something, but he lied,
Mhm.
and I would watch that, and then when Audrey, played by Marina Tierney, tells him we're moving to Boston, and he's like, I'm never gonna see my son again.
Mm.
It's like, oh, I felt like that. And then when you go through the whole thing of him finally realizing he's supposed to see his son before they go, and he goes to the airport and does everything, running through the terminal, he does everything he can, and then when you finally realize when he gets picked up by the ambulance, he's on a stretcher, and he tells his son he'd always love him, this, that, and his son thinks, oh, he's still lying, and he looks and says, look, I could have lied for over like a half an hour now. This is the truth.
Mhm.
That is how I always feel with my son. I tell him all the time, and he's 13. I tell him, I say, look, Jalen, listen, Dad, there are things Dad wants to do that he can't, but as God is my witness, if I can help it, I will not lie to you. I will make sure that I be as honest and as straightforward as I can with you, because I don't want you ever resenting me for any
Mm.
reason that I can control.
Right.
Whatever I can do, I want to control it. And when I watched that, again, it took the power of a wish to make a man have to tell
Mhm.
the truth. And I'm like, I always want to be able to tell the truth to my son. And that movie affects me so much because, again, Jim Carrey's hilarious in the movie.
Right.
The movie is in itself what it is, but to the relationship of a strained relationship that comes together with a father and his son
Mhm.
is what I always think back to of my relationship with my son, because I didn't get the chance to have the relationship with my dad. My dad passed when I was 5,
Right.
so I've always, my dad passed, and there was no way of his own. He passed a diabetic heart attack, and so I've always wanted to make sure that I have the best possible relationship with my child that I can on every level. Like
Mhm.
my son now, he wants to get into what we do.
No, of
He wants to
course.
be into YouTube and stuff like that, and how to have the gaming thing.
Oh yeah,
And
Twitch. He wants to
he
Twitch.
wants to Twitch and all that. And I told him, I said, listen, I need you to, if you're gonna do it, go ahead and do it, but make sure it's good. Because if it is, I'll put it out for you. I want to spread it out. I want to make sure I support you the best way
Mhm.
possible. So he'll do things, and he'll call me, Dad, I got this. Can you check it out? Dad, I'm doing that. Can you check it out? Now he's playing football. Dad, I'm playing football.
Aw.
And I'm like, all right, what position are you playing? I'm playing left guard. I'm like, all right, you sure you don't want to play defense? And then we go back and forth. But you have to be very smart to play offensive line in football, for those who don't know. But I talk,
Yeah.
him and I have this open. Now we talk so much, and our bond has grown. And to watch that, and it's like, oh, the bond of Fletcher and Max grew
Mhm.
afterwards. And so that always brings me back and reminds me. I mean, my son's 13, but he's always like my little Max to me.
Aw.
I know, right? I'm a big softy. I'm a big softy.
Liar, liar. I haven't seen in a while, but I always love the claw part.
Which I would do with my son. My son. So Liar Liar came out well after my son was born. My son was born, and I always called him my little scoop ball. His little ball head, and I would scoop him up, and I would just play him down, and he'd laugh. And I'd scoop him up, and I'd play him down, and he'd laugh. So before I moved, it was me, him, and his sister. We were all together, and I grabbed the back of his head. I was like, "What's up, little scoop ball?" And he was like, "I remember you used to do that." I was like, "How do you
Aw.
remember that?" He's like, "I don't know. I do."
There's certain things that my daughter remembers, and I'm like, I don't know how
How
you
you
remember
remember it?
that. Like,
And
I
so
really
he
don't.
remembers it. Uh, and he remembers it, and so we go through that, and we do that, and those things still play back and remind me, because like the school ball is like the claw to me,
Hmm.
and so we love doing, like, we wrestle. My son told me he wanted to get into the wrestling business, and I'll
Uh-huh.
never forget. We wrestled one day. I was like, all right, we're gonna wrestle in the front room, whatever. I was like, show what you got. And he kept doing stuff. I was like, hey, hold on. You're a little too strong. Stop. He was like, what, you can't take it? I was like, no, because if I start back, then you're gonna be crying and I'm gonna be in jail. I was like, I don't want that to happen. But yeah, Liar Liar helps me remind me of my relationship with my son, to be honest with him, and
Hmm.
be straightforward with him as a young man coming up in the world with everything he has to deal with.
Right.
And so that is definitely a film that helps me out a lot.
So Liar Liar reminds you of your son and your relationship with him, and Ryan's toy reviews on YouTube reminds you of your daughter.
My daughter, we were just talking about this before we
Yes.
went on. If you don't know, Ryan's a little kid on YouTube who has all these toys, and then I'll call my daughter through
And
FaceTime.
3 million subs, guys.
3 million
like,
subscribers.
Maybe even more. Could be 5.
Man,
Could be 10. I
It's
don't know.
amazing. And my daughter, I'll call her and I'll be like, what you doing, baby? She'll point to the screen. See, daddy, I got Ryan and his daddy. I said, but here's your daddy. She's like, I don't know. You don't know. I'm your daddy. I don't know if I tell you, I don't know. I'm on these papers. And then I went back to Ryan. We do that. So, oh God.
Ryan's toy reviews, guys.
Ryan always reviewing Thomas. It's Thomas.
Oh
He is
man.
Percy.
Oh man. The evolution of what your children watch on
Oh
YouTube.
my God. It's amazing.
Because my son would watch Ryan's toy reviews. And yeah, we had talked about starting Ryland's toy reviews because that's the name of my son. So then people would get lost and
like,
come on our channel, and then maybe we'll get millions.
I would say go for it. Get in where you fit in. You get half the new 3 million that he's
Oh,
gonna
man.
get him.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever do that to my kids. I just
Aw.
couldn't.
Aw.
I just couldn't. My daughter asks for a YouTube channel all the time, and I'm like, you can make your videos and we can keep them on the iPad. Like,
That's because she knows mommy does YouTube.
I know.
Well-
They do say, like, they'll ask each other, and I'm not around, like, I'm cooking or
Mm.
I'm upstairs or whatever, and they'll say, who's your favorite YouTuber? And then whoever asked will always go, Mommy. Mommy's my favorite YouTuber. And I'm
Aw.
like, that's really cute.
My son, I showed him. He was like, "What do you do on YouTube?" So I said, "All right," because we were on the phone. I said, "Listen, go. I want you to type in Screen Junkies News or Screen Junkies." He was like, "Dad, they got all these subscribers." I said, "That's not the point right now." I said, "Go to video," and he watched it. He was like,
Look at the views, kid. Look at the views.
Look at the views, kid. And I'll tell him to do that, and he'd be like, "Wow!" And it's amazing the way he feels like. And one thing I've noticed too with my son
Mhm.
specifically, I am not a celebrity to him.
Well, no, of course not.
To the world, like everything I've done, daddy's in a movie and dad's in
Mhm.
commercials and you just dad. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, he's 13.
No.
so-
I would like for him at least to be like, one daddy in a movie and you just
Dad,
dad.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just dad. I was like, I hate you.
But I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Well, thank you so much, Jay, for being
Thank
on
you.
this show.
Thank you
Where
for having
can
me.
everyone find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Mr. J Washington, MrJaywashington. JWashington.com is the website. Look, my schedule has not been updated yet. I've been busy these past 2 weeks. I will update the schedule. Do not judge me.
Okay. I'm
And-
not judging.
And you can catch me with her being her advocate on the movie
Yes.
Trivia Schmodown.
That's right.
So we'll do some things coming up with that. And you already know where to find me.
Yeah, I have another match coming up soon.
Oh, it's going to be
The
okay.
killer's going down.
I mean, listen, my
flames.
client has already proven her worth. She has shown that she is dominant in this, and people who are outstanding can fall before Miss Movies. So what can the killer do? The killer can be exterminated. And there's only 2 things you can do about that. That's nothing and deal with it. Damn it. See how you do that?
All right. Awesome.
All day.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank
you can find me at Miss Movies on Twitter. I'm going to be on Meet the Movie Press tomorrow with Jeff Snyder, which is on the Popcorn Talk Network, and Real Rejects. I'll be on their channel. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. I don't know, because we film stuff and then they release
Yeah,
it,
of course,
so
of
we'll see.
course.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye. 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 Bye.